We are live. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on this panel that's being hosted by the Blockchain Game Alliance. We are going to have a very interesting discussion on the topic of the role of NFT marketplace in the discovery, the distribution, the curation, and the governance of digital and crypto assets. Right now, NFT is really the hot topic this day again. So we are really excited with different speakers we'll have on this panel, including OpenSea, including SuperRare and Rarible. Before that, I'll introduce the Blockchain Game Alliance for those of you who are not familiar. Quickly, what it is, who we are, and what are all the different activities we are running. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sébastien Borget. I'm the COO and co-founder of The Sandbox, as well as the president of the Blockchain Game Alliance. And the Blockchain Game Alliance, it's a non-profit organization that is committed to promoting blockchain, the use of blockchain technology within the game industry. Our goal is to spread awareness of how NFTs, decentralized technology, cryptocurrencies, and other DAOs, etc., can encourage adoption, can create new ways for developers, creators to engage, to publish, to play, to monetize, to build strong communities around games and beyond now, as we are seeing recently over all our events. We are strong advocate also for diversity and more inclusivity of women in the space and try to invite as many founders, women, and key actors in the space. And we provide an open forum for individuals and companies to share knowledge, to network, to collaborate, to create working group together, establish best practice, and push forward all together in the space. The core activities of the BGA include networking, research and reporting, representing blockchain game companies, obviously, and advocating for blockchain within the game industry. We have now over 150 members in the Blockchain Game Alliance, including blockchain games, including chains and protocol, including press and media, games, developer solution, esports platform, and many more. So it's really exciting to see all the different actors and type of companies that are present in the BGA. And I wanted to give a big thank to our sponsors, Animoca Brands, Ubisoft, Galaxy Interactive, MakerDAO, Algorand, Chromia, Matic, AMD, and Mobox, who are giving an extra support to the BGA and all its activities and members. Some of our events that we are running every month include interviews with industry leaders and video game executives, include workshops on various thematics like DeFi and gaming, DAOs, governance and gaming, decentralized gaming, or legal workshop around NFTs and the use of blockchain technology for games in various jurisdictions. We have once a month, or at the end of the month, the event where we present all the new members of the Blockchain Game Alliance. We offer free speaking opportunities at various events around the world and free tickets to attend those events. And we try to organize series of events on specific topics, such as how we did one for 2 months related to women of blockchain, gaming, NFT, and digital art. We have since end of August, a series of events related to collecting NFTs with the point of view from the whales, from the different investors in the space, from the art marketplace, from the art creators, from the analytics platforms, and others. So without further ado, I will let Serena introduce our speakers. I just invite you to follow the BGA on Twitter, Medium, Telegram, and Discord. And if you like to apply and join us, just go over this link. Thank you so much. And the stage is yours, Serena.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sebastian, for this presentation to the Blockchain Game Alliance, and welcome to our speakers today. Hello, everyone. We've got John from SuperRare, Alex from OpenSea, and Alex from Rarible. Thank you for being with us today, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Great. So it's so good to have you. We're going to have a conversation today around the role of NFTs, marketplace and curation, distribution, and governance of crypto assets. Just to remind everyone watching that you're most welcome to share comments and questions as we go through this live. So feel free to send them through and we'll answer during this live panel. So I would love now for you guys to give us a quick introduction about yourself. We are going to be starting with Alex from OpenSea. If you'd like to give us a quick intro about yourself. Thank you and welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm Alex Atallah. I'm the CTO and co-founder of OpenSea. We are a general marketplace for non-fungible tokens and game and art assets that are on the blockchain. And we've been really excited to be a part of a vastly expanding space and a fast-growing market. And thanks for having me.
Thank you. Wonderful to have you, Alex. Thanks. And then we have John from SuperRare. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Serena. How's it going?
Good.
Hey, everybody. My name is John Craine. I'm the CEO and co-founder of SuperRare. And SuperRare is a platform focused on digital art. We use NFTs to secure and register the art on the blockchain. And yeah, we've been around for a while.
Thank you, John, for being here today. And then we have Alex from Rarible. Hello, welcome to this panel.
Hi, Serena. Hi, Sebastian. Thanks for having me. So I'm Alex Salnikov. I'm co-founder and CPO at Rarible. I mostly do prioritizing of the features, understanding the midterm strategy of the product. Rarible went live on November 2019, and we position ourselves as an issuance platform in the first place, the marketplace in the second, because the NFT space is small, and it will grow and it will expand and it will proliferate into different use cases. And basically, we invite everyone to go and try to create something new with NFTs, something cool. Excited to be here.
Great, thank you. Okay, so here we are, all of us. Wonderful. So I have prepared some questions for us today, but as I said before, we will be welcoming comments and live questions as well from the public. So I'll be sharing my screen now, but the first question I have for you, since we're going to be talking about curation of crypto assets, is what is the difference between a curated, a non-curated platform in your view? So just introducing very much about the concept of what curation means on platform. And I would love to have your views and insight very briefly, if you can go around. So I'll ask John first. What does that mean for you?
Yeah, I think, curation has a long, important history within the arts, and curation related to SuperRare. I think, we've tried to build a sort of trusted ecosystem, in a space where anybody can Google anything, anyone can go on Instagram and issue a token. I think, we've already seen lots of instances of people ripping each other off. And so the main purpose of sort of like the curation we do into the platform is just to make sure that, these people are who they say they are, and, they're actually creating the work.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And can you guys see my screen? I just shared the slide. I just wanted to make sure that you can see the questions. Yes?
Yep.
Great, fantastic. And what does that mean for you, Alex? And I guess today we've got two Alex, so I should address you as Alex, Alexander. Can I call you Alexander, OpenSea? You said that before. Would that be okay?
Sure, that's fine.
Great. So what that does mean for you, a curated and less curated platform, Alexander?
Well, a totally non-curated platform would mean anything is allowed. There's no sort of blocking of the trading of any assets. Mm-hmm. And then curated, it's just a spectrum. It's not a binary thing. Curated could mean that illegal things get blocked. It could mean that fraud gets blocked. It could mean that copycat work gets blocked. And there's just various degrees of how much the platform wants to do that. And then on the very far right of the spectrum, it could mean that nothing shows up unless it's approved by the platform creators. So OpenSea itself is somewhere in the middle. We let things exist on OpenSea. We don't surface things to users that we haven't checked out for safety and for fraud yet, but they're still browsable. So it's kind of like how Google doesn't prevent you from browsing the internet. They're just surfacing the stuff that doesn't have DMCA copyright infringement claims on it. That kind of thing.
Right. Okay. And then I guess I'd love to hear Alex's view on this point, curated and non-curated platform. What is your view on that?
I think it's funny though that even during this platform, we're organized by, I'd say, by the level of curation on the platform. We at Rarible try to be as open as possible. Obviously, that leads to some set of problems for us. So at some point, we still introduced the verified badge, and we delete some completely fraudulent items from the marketplace. But generally, we are big believers in open economies and in the freedom of trading, and well, so far that pays well. We see a lot of response because that's basically heavily reduces all the conversion rates. Well, it basically increases conversion rates into like you can register, you can hop in, create something new and trade it instantly. No whitelist required to start trading, and that's a powerful idea. Well, it has some downsides though. We are fully aware of them and doing our best to solve them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think today here we are talking to 3 of the primary platforms in this space. So it's wonderful to have your views and opinions on what is currently seen as a challenge, but also as an opportunity. So my follow-up question would be, what are the criteria to be approved and in a way whitelisted? And which criteria do you think the NFT community should foster? And that's an open question to you all, whoever wants to answer first.
Happy to go first. We ask people who create content on OpenSea to agree to a terms of service, that the content's original, that it doesn't break any laws, etc. So we whitelist collections that fulfill the terms of service. And whitelisting for us, safe listing, means that it shows up on the homepage, in our sidebar, in our search results, and on the main assets page where you see assets being listed for sale. That's how we go about preventing fraud and preventing crazy stuff from being shown to users, because our top priority is preventing buyers from buying things that they're going to regret in a serious way. And we really spend a lot of time on this. We have verification for collections. We have verification for accounts. You can get check marks if you have a good social media profile and people care about it and use that to buy things that you're listing. So, and we have a whole bunch of stuff coming up to improve that.
Thank you. And once the content is already on the platform, what type of curation do you perform?
Well, like I said earlier, we allow content to be on the platform unless it's breaking a law, or unless the developers decided they want to remove it, or there's some reason that it needs to be removed completely. So once it's on the platform, the curation that we provide is what I just said, where we let it show up in search results and on the homepage and surface to buyers who are looking around for things.
I'd like to pass on the question now to John in terms of what are the criteria for approving users, and what kind of curation do you perform once the content is already on the platform?
Yeah, so our main goal is to kind of grow the digital art ecosystem as a whole. And so I think the main purpose of curation is, we love partnering with artists who are, taking their craft really seriously and are obviously, trying to do the same. So we view everybody who we bring on as a partner, and we seem to have shared, our goals are shared. We're very excited about digital art, and we're trying to bring the enjoyment of digital art to the world. I think that's like the main point of curation. And then the second point, right, is Alex mentioned the ecosystem's still really small, and so we also want to be cognizant of the fact that like in a place where people are buying and selling, you need sort of equal weight in the market, and so we just try to be thoughtful there, bring on new partners, in a thoughtful manner.
Thank you, John. And Alex, after you.
I like the John's answer very much. They literally like pick the best stuff on the marketplace, and I think it's important job to show some standards there out there to teach people about like what how to do this the proper way. And for us, obviously we are inclusive as possible, and but we still gotta draw a line somewhere, and that's very difficult because when you draw the line, either side of this line is usually a little bit upset about the place where you drew it. Somebody who was included is upset that much of people were included and he wants them out, and somebody who wasn't included is upset that he wasn't included, basically. So right now it's the great contact with audience pays well. We're always talking to the people, and basically that means that usually what we do is just we follow the community. If somebody needs to be verified, usually it's like 10 requests on Twitter from his friends and from some part of the community that are vouch for each other, and they literally like taking us and say, you gotta verify him. And the same happens otherwise. If something bad's happening on the platform, we receive a ton of requests and ton of response that this isn't acceptable. Okay, guys, yeah, just take it away. And mostly we're following this sentiment, and I believe that's the true way of minimizing the upset part of the community, because you're literally following what they say.
I was just checking out some of the comments, one from Dominic. So I think I agree with him. Like curation is different than moderation, and I think there's also two things, like minting an NFT and like curation are also kind of separate. And so like a lot of the work we do with regards to our exhibitions, like I don't know if people in the audience are familiar, but we try to do at least one exhibition every month. And again, I think there's like different styles and types of curation, but I think there is a distinct difference between moderation and curation.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I guess here we were talking more about the crypto assets that we see on the platform and how these are brought into the platform. So it's about selecting the content that ends up in the platform. But then, of course, if we're talking about curation of art rather than the wider NFT realm, then, of course, I agree with you that moderation and curation are two separate things. So actually, thank you, Dom, for that question, and John for the answer. Yes. I have a new topic for you now, which also was suggested by Sebastian, which I found very interesting, that I would love to discuss with you, which is about if you could tell us basically how you discovered artists and or games in the case of OpenSea, for example, and how these were featured on the platform and how they weigh into the success of your platform or not. So essentially, we know that there's been a good number of artists or games that they've first been featured on platforms, and those are now sort of made a name for who they were because they were there at the very beginning. So how did they weigh in the success that the platform has nowadays or not? I think it would be an interesting one for Alex at OpenSea and John.
Alex, you're on mute.
Yeah.
There we go. So I think that the constraints on the space and why it's as small as it is, you could boil it down to two kinds of constraints: demand constraints and supply constraints. So are we demand or supply constrained? Is it that people can't get crypto, or is it that the content isn't like marketing to the mainstream audience yet? So in the beginning, there was CryptoKitties, and they marketed to this like right on the border of crypto audience, like people who had heard of crypto before, now saw like a fun way of making money with it. And we saw tons of games grow out of that phenomenon. So it was kind of we were content limited before CryptoKitties, and then CryptoKitties just significantly raised the bar for non-fungible content on Ethereum. And CryptoPunks did too. But then we saw game content slow down, like basically fewer projects with really good content. But games take a long time to make. They take years. And mainstream studios spend years and years and years making new versions of every game. Like, people don't understand how hard it is. Art has there's definitely some art that takes years to make, but it's got a much faster content creation cycle. And that's why SuperRare and Rarible have a really cool flywheel going, because we see loads of people coming into the NFT space. Now content creation is unlocked. Now we're not as supply constrained as we used to be. And I really think that we're more supply constrained right now than demand constrained. It is hard to get crypto, but the cool stuff matters more. And we're starting to see like really good artists come into the space because they see that, oh, they can make money. They can start a business from their house. They don't have to ship paintings and stuff to random parts of the world and deal with strange trust issues and fraud and stuff like that. So that's why this is really exciting. And I'll hand it off to John.
What was the question again? I mean, I have a lot of points on my house, I forget the question.
Yes, absolutely. So the question is, tell us how you discovered artists and or games, but I guess artists is more for you, John, to be featured in your platform. How did they weigh into the success of your platform or not?
Got it.
So maybe we can talk about Robbie, for example, or Akata, or some of the very first that joined.
Yes. So some of the first were friends of friends. So, when we got started, there were obviously lots of artists that I look up to and, would have loved to join, but people aren't usually super receptive to a cold email like, hey, do you want to check out this weird crypto thing? Just install a browser plugin. It's definitely not a virus. Like, go ahead, jump through these 27 hoops. So really it was just, kind of community led from the beginning, right? It was, people like Jason Bailey who were excited about, the mission and the adventure that we were going on, supporting us. And, as I mentioned earlier, I think, we really view everybody as a friend and a partner. And so they've been completely critical to our success so far. I think people on Twitter are quick to get super adversarial. But I think in reality, most of us are friends. We see there's so much potential, and I think we're just really starting to scratch the surface for digital art as an experience and fine art to be taken really seriously. And it's going to take all of us working together to get there. And so, I think it takes people like us who are we view ourselves as builders. We're trying to build products and tools that are really useful, and then we need to partner with people who are really great curators, great artists. So I think absolutely critical to the success of the whole space.
Interesting. And I guess, Alex, for you at Rarible, the follow-up question is about, can platforms make or break an artist or a game like an old App Store used to? And that's something that actually Sebastian pointed out to me earlier on today, because it was telling me about when a game, for example, was not featured or rated into an app store. And so that would automatically be somehow, rejected by the mass. So how would you see that playing in a platform environment?
That's actually a very, very good question, because a lot of people are generally upset when there is some unfairness going on. Somebody got something and somebody didn't. So as a platform, we try to stay as agnostic as possible, and we mostly provide tools for people to try to surface what's important there. We're highly community based again, so when we're highlighting someone, that's usually because somebody asked us to highlight someone, and that again pays pretty well. We have a lot of stuff in the backlog on improving that. Since we have a governance token on the platform, one of the important features to introduce is the voting for who needs to be highlighted on the next screen, let's say for a week or so. We believe that's a very interesting idea. So of course, when you as a platform have some kind of control over what's going on there. But again, what we are doing is we are trying to set the rules and for rules to drive the space.
Interesting. Okay, thank you for explaining that. There's a question coming from the audience that I'd like to address to all of you. Would you see platforms introduce staking NFTs in future, similar concept introduced by Meme?
I definitely think this is going to happen. I think there's a lot of interesting overlap with the things happening with DeFi and NFTs. So I definitely think we're going to see a lot of experiments there. One thing that's interesting though, in general, so again, for us thinking about all right, we want to help people discover and enjoy more digital art. I think this is probably an interesting way to grow, but I don't know. It doesn't really relate in my mind too much. If you're trying to bring more people into the digital art ecosystem, it's not necessarily focused on digital art. I think it's really cool, but I'm not sure how it would make the browsing experience better on SuperRare.
Do you guys have any thoughts, the two Alex, on this question?
Well, yeah, I have one. Basically, what is staking in the end? Staking is trying to take a time and introduce this as a variable to the equation. So what does it mean you stake something? That means that you hold something for a specific period of time. And that needs to have some underlying understanding, why is that important to hold this particular thing for the specific time. It makes a total sense to hold the governance token, for example, because that shows how long have you been supporting the platform. Or it can make a sense to hold an item to just highlight that I've held this item for long, and it's more expensive now because it's like an old one, like a bottle of wine. But anybody could hold that for some time. So again, it's all about experimentation. So meme token introduced staking, and that's a cool idea. We supported them. They are traded on the marketplace. I think experimentation is horizontal. There will be a lot of projects that are doing something cool. We will just support them.
And Alexander?
So just to clarify, there's two types of NFT staking that we've seen so far. One is where you take NFTs that you own and you put them in a smart contract to stake them, and you get usually an ERC20 token for doing that as blocks go by. The other type of staking is the reverse. You take an ERC20 token, you put it somewhere. It could be adding liquidity or something like that, but you stake it somewhere and you get NFTs as a reward as blocks go by on the blockchain. So meme is the latter. And I like the latter a bit more because it's cheaper to stake currency than it is to stake NFTs. You don't have to pay as much gas. And it also makes a bit more sense from a holder value perspective. Like what Alex was talking about, just like holding NFTs, like Alex was saying, it's like, what's the value really in just holding? I really don't think that holding NFTs, even holding crypto, adds a lot of value to the ecosystem. But what Uniswap has discovered is that hodlers can add value by buying the equivalent amount of another token and staking the pair of tokens together. That's how Uniswap works, and that's how markets get made. Liquidity providers are a real value add for the ecosystem when you just want to hold on to something. So Meme capitalizes on this, and I think it's a great idea, and I bet we're going to see lots of other projects do something similar, and it's a very cool way of integrating DeFi with NFTs.
Thank you, Alex, for that. We have a question coming from Pac to all of you. What's your short-term and longer-term aim? If you can summarize that in a few words. I'll start with John.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say for us, it's to get the whole world excited about digital art. Part of what drew me into the space was just I had friends who were involved in the arts, and there's a little bit of language you have to learn. It's helpful to know a little bit of art history, but before that had happened, art was something that happened in museums. People who went to art school knew about it. And even though I loved to draw and was a pretty creative kid, I never saw myself as somebody who could participate in the arts. And I love the idea of really lowering sort of the barrier to make it more accessible for humans. And so I think just, being the place that gets, the rest of the world excited about art who's not excited about art right now is our main goal.
Mm-hmm. And would you say it's more long-term or a short-term?
I'd say that's our long-term goal. If we can get everybody in the world collecting digital art, that would be amazing.
Yes, that would be. And Alex at Rarible?
Yeah, right. Since the question comes from Pac, I'll address it. I say specifically to them. I believe right now, after the last surge in the activity on the platform is a little bit messy. So our shortest term goal is to introduce some kind of separation between the different communities that are now exist on the marketplace. We totally get it how it is to be in the same room with your political opponent, I'd say. So that's our short term to introduce something that would keep all of the parties apart from each other while respecting everyone. Our more long term goals are, I believe, are aligned with the same goal. We want to grow into the system of interconnected communities, self-governed communities like Reddit, I'd say, that are trading between each other with something that they love to, and with the specific feature set for each of this community. I believe, for the crypto art, it's mostly curation, but we have an unique understanding of the curation on the market. And sorry, I just saw the comment. It's funny.
Yes.
So yeah, the long-term goal is to proliferate and grow, and we are full believers in the governance, and so we do want to drive the development of the platform decentralized. We want third-party developers working on new features, and we want self-governing communities doing something for their own. So yeah, there's proliferation and decentralization in every aspect of the platform.
Thank you. Thanks. And Alex, after you, what is your short-term and long-term achievement?
So short-term, there's a lot of features we could add to OpenSea, but we've been pretty focused on just being the best place to discover all kinds of crypto assets, search for them, and buy them. And long-term, again, since this question is coming from Pac, I'll talk about the creator side first. Etsy has this thing where they tell people that they are the easiest way to be an entrepreneur. You can make something at home and ship it out everywhere. But I strongly believe that there is an easier way and definitely more profitable. Josie made $30,000 a month last month selling her art, and multiply that by 12, that's $360K a year. I mean, you need to have good months every month of the year, but that's a real career. And making those careers actually viable for people is part of our long-term goal. And the other part of our long-term goal on the demand side is making it so that payments are not this like intimidating, annoying thing that all developers have to deal with and all users have to deal with. Like with PayPal, you don't know where your payments are going outside of crypto. You don't know what fees you're going to be paying, what kind of credit cards you're dealing with. Crypto just gets rid of all the nonsense, in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Thank you all, and thank you, Pat, for the question. I'll carry on with my question on now the reward and how do you see rewarding the community work? So we're going to be now discussing the governance and distribution a bit more in details. So I would love for you to tell me more about how do you see rewarding your community and how do you currently distribute the rewards? Maybe I can ask Alex first at Rarible, because I know you guys have worked on that and you do guys have plans on that. So how do you see the rewarding community working and how do you currently reward?
Yeah,
within your
definitely.
community?
I believe that's a great question for us. So we introduced the governance token with the reward plan, and basically what happened in the DeFi world, they introduced rewards for supplying capital, because DeFi projects are basically money marketplaces. And it's always hard to grow a marketplace because your buy side depends on your sell side, and your sell side depends on your buy side, and it's chicken and egg platform, and rewarding users initially just gives you a heads up and introduces a better network effects. So we have the 75,000 of Rari tokens distributed weekly to the all buyers and sellers proportionally to their volume. And this is supposed to go for the next 200 weeks, probably a little bit less than, and that's about 4 years. But we do have some asks from community to change the process, and that's for what the governance process is for. Some people believe that they have ideas on how to do this distribution even more fair, and we are like full on to listen to everyone's ideas and implement them. Just go comment and vote on them.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. And what do you guys both think, John and Alex, in terms of how do you reward your community? And also, what have you experimented so far that is proved to be successful within OpenSea and SuperRare?
So, yeah, I guess like by rewards is like, can you define more specifically what, I guess like, so like one thing we do is like, you know, we spend a lot of time and effort, like, you know, doing curations. Like, is that a type of reward? Like, I don't know. Like we're excited about, you know, putting on sort of like virtual exhibits and, you know, spending time and energy there. So I'm not sure if that's a reward. I'd say it's
I kept it quite broad because I think all three platforms see the reward in slightly different ways, and I feel that sometimes the reward can be more like a token or something that gives you also voting rights, or it can be turned into something that is more monetary and has that kind of like meaning to people. But I appreciate and totally understand the fact that a reward could mean the curation and how you actually make those connections with your community and how available you make yourself and the platform to the space. So I think there's different ways of looking at the same question. So that's why I kept them quite general for you to describe what kind of relationship you have with your audience and how do you see that rewarding process happening.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I think it's super interesting. Like, I love, you know, what Alex and the Rarible team have done with their governance token. I think like the retroactive distribution to community members is a sort of elegant solution. So yeah, I think there's lots, you know, we're still kind of early days as far as people actually implementing governance. And I think there's lots of fun experiments to keep doing there.
Mm-hmm. And Alex at OpenSea, how do you see these rewarding the community going, you know, in terms of how do you see the fact that these could have a more monetary mean or artistic mean. What are your thoughts on that, and what worked so far for you?
Monetary or artistic what?
Reward. So when you are distributing rewards to the community, have you tried that with OpenSea, or are you planning that, or what works so far in terms of engaging with your community and sharing a reward, which could be monetary or not?
There's definitely something very exciting about having fungible token rewards to like give to users. And we're still looking at how it's going for every platform that's trying it. Retroactive rewards, but by Rarible and Uniswap were very, very cool. And we're really looking at like the governance model and how that realistically plays out. We're definitely excited by it, and we think there's something there. And there's something that crypto is a really good fit for crypto too. So we're still in like kind of the observation phase, but we're talking about how we can do it and also how we can surface rewards that exist on other platforms.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I now have, I shared my screen again because I wanted to share some questions we received from the audience prior to this live. And I have one for Alex at Rarible. So the question is, how do you intend to prevent or resolve disputes with regards to counterfeit content? And that goes also in terms of the distribution of crypto assets.
Well, I believe that's one of the biggest pains that we realistically have at the platform right now. That's obviously the cost of being as open as possible, that sometimes you allow people who probably shouldn't do anything, well, the type of things that they're doing on the platform. So I believe the best answer to this that we came up with is using the governance in order to do that. So right now we have a report button, and you can report, but obviously with the size of the marketplace that we're getting at, it's beginning to be much more difficult to understand, like to understand how we process that amount of information. So I'm a true believer, again, is the governance talking, having platform. We believe in the power of communities to govern themselves. So one thing that we can do, and we'll probably do very soon, is allowing people to moderate content themselves. So let's say we have an Instagram, and we can set the threshold. Like, okay, let's do 100 people press a report button and the two item to go away. Yeah, we can do that, but that instantly creates an opportunity for people to game the system. They can come and just chat whatever they want by coordinating to ban something. If we weigh those votes to remove something with the governance token, so let's say we count proportionately. If 10,000 Rarible tokens voted to ban this token, they can stake their Rarible to ban the token, and this will go away, and that requires much less of like manual work, and that's just a better coordination tool for the community. That's the ultimate goal in which we want to go. I know we have some problems with it, and community wants us to be better in it, but it's so important to not slip through to this path where we are the single source of truth here and single point of failure. We don't want to do that. So guys, we are aiming for a longer term solution, but in short term, we got to be more careful.
Thank you for answering that. The next one is for John. How do you see your platform developing towards a more curated experience or more open?
Yeah, so this is a great question. And I don't think they're mutually exclusive. So, one, we've been exploring and just thinking about is like, how can you enable just more types of curation, right? We've kind of been, a central group curating. I think it's worked really well so far to kind of help this ecosystem sort of grow and blossom. But then thinking forward, I think there's a lot of opportunity to bring on other types of curation. It could be crowd curation. It could be other individual contributors who are curators. And so, there's we're doing a lot of kind of like exciting experiments here, and people are going to see more things coming out shortly. But the answer is yes.
Thank you. There's a question that is not here. Maybe it's on the next slide. Yes, it's on the next one, which I think it's relevant to what we're talking right now, and was relevant to the rewards that we discussed just a moment ago, which is addressed to all of you. So many are now developing their own currencies and tokens. Don't you think that creating a multitude of tokens will fragmentate the market instead of unifying it? Given that the adoption of Ethereum is already a challenge, so using ETH as a form of payment as opposed to fiat currencies, what is the need for many fragmented token economies? Would this represent a challenge for adoption or a fortune for the exchange? And that's a question that came from one of the audience members from Twitter. Quite a long one, but to maybe rephrase it is, do you believe that tokens and creating your own currency can be facilitated and make the market more accessible, or would these fragmenting the market even more, given that Ethereum is already a challenge for mass adoption?
So I don't really think it's going to fragment the market. Like, we have tools. Like, you can sort of imagine like a tool like Uniswap plugging in. So if somebody wants you to pay in their native token, or like you can kind of convert these things on the fly. So I think ultimately it'll be more seamless and people won't really know what's happening with the infrastructure. So I wouldn't say, I think it's great. I think it's just experimentation, and either people will really like these sort of personal tokens and they'll take off, or it'll turn out that they're not exciting. I'm not sure, but I think it's cool to see people experimenting, right? We have these sort of new, easy to use kind of internet money primitives, and it's great to see experimentation with them.
And Alex, what are your thoughts on that? Since we've seen so many artists recently, and also, communities creating their own tokens and currencies, do you think this will represent a challenge even more, or would somehow bring the market together? Because some people do see these as sort of dividing rather than unifying. So what are your thoughts? Alex, Rarible, I see you unmute yourself, so you can go first.
Yeah, I believe it's a really great question. Obviously, problem with a lot of tokens is the liquidity problem. So how do we ensure that each of every one of these tokens is liquid and interchangeable? So it's not big pain in the ass to go and buy some tokens, but as I've seen during 2017, there were a lot of projects that wanted to expand this utility token as a mean of payment model. Like you will only be able to purchase stuff on our marketplace, on our product, for this specific token. I'm not sure that I've seen a lot of the success of this model. Because it just creates an extra conversion rate. You need to go and buy something before using the platform. That's hard. I think Ethereum works well with it. We have some wallets that allow you to pay gas in stable coins, like Argent does, for example, and then it goes and buys ETH underlying. That's a great solution to this, but it's all about the market response to them. Yeah, definitely. I think Alex can from OpenSea can tell us a little bit about this, because they have support of paying with tokens for this stuff. Maybe you can share some info on that.
Sure. Yeah, I'm a big fan of new types of payment tokens. I don't think it fragments the experience. I think, like John said, there's easy tools for converting from one token to another, and the limiting factor is gas. That's kind of a separate problem that we can talk about. What I think is the coolest thing about payment tokens is that it's like a kind of a culturally unifying, it's something to like unite around. And an analogy, I mean, not a great analogy, but the web did not get fragmented because there were lots of different ways of logging into websites. Sites that you log in with your Facebook, with Google, with a new email and password and all that stuff. And like when Google Plus was around, it wasn't, maybe there was a little bit of like content fragmentation, but that doesn't happen with ERC20s or with new types of payment tokens. And I think the experience will get better as the liquidity gets better. And then the only downside to selling your thing for a new type of payment token was that there might be slippage if there's low liquidity and someone doesn't have the token that they need to buy the item. But I would say that that's definitely a less grave downside than the upside of having your community's economy in one place.
Now, Alex, sorry, can I ask you a question? What's the second most popular token after the ETH and stable coins for which the purchases are made on OpenSea?
Good question.
Good one, yeah.
I think Whale is the top non-stable coin payment token. The way Whale works is Whale Shark and his community have basically bought a lot of high-value NFTs, and they use that as part of the value pinning for the Whale, or part of the way that the Whale token is backed is with this vault of NFTs. And Whale is given out to the community based on a bunch of different rules, and then people put things on sale for Whale. The Whale token itself, let's see, it does pretty well. I think it's like, I want to say $10. It's $9 now, $9.30. So it's not a penny token, and people are kind of like picking it up from various purchases. And that, I would say, like tokens like Whale, I think are really great. Wrapped CryptoKitties was cool. Way of wrapping the lowest tier CryptoKitty that you have in an ERC20 token. We saw a lot of wrapped CryptoKitty listings. And there are tons of others, but those two are probably the top.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks. That's insightful.
Yeah, that's interesting to know that. It's a curious fact. Yes, absolutely. And I think one of my last question for you guys today is, do you think that NFTs platform will embrace the DAO model or not? How do you see that evolving? Do you think that platforms will become more decentralized in the future or more centralized in terms of sustainability?
I think there's going to be a whole range. There's platforms like Nifty Gateway, where it's one of the big perks is you can use your credit card and it's centralized. And I think there's it's just going to be a spectrum. So there'll be people who go the DAO route, have things be more decentralized, and I think we're going to have flavors of all types.
Interesting view. Thank you for sharing that. And Alex at OpenSea, what do you think of that?
It's a good question. I think that, again, that we're going, I think that with the right content, there's going to be some decentralized platforms that have better content. And if they do, then we'll move towards more decentralized platforms. And if that's not true, I think we would move towards more centralized platforms. So I get there's still some questions that I would need to answer before giving a real answer to that.
Okay,
well,
thanks.
Obviously, Yeah, obviously, as Rarible, we're experimenting about this model right now, and the real answer is that nobody knows. Like, how would it go? And as we do it, that means that we are highly opinionated that it will, and that's what we do right now. But I think the important point is just to encourage experimentation. We're just moving fast. We started this. If that doesn't work, we move to something else. We'll break things, create something new. That's our whole, I don't know, mindset of the platform. And I believe people are sharing it and also come there and break things. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yes, and I just saw a comment shared here by Bruce Gurus saying that we just got listed on like 4 or 5 new exchange as well. Well, it's pretty insane, regardless of any personal feelings towards Whale Shark or vice versa. It's something to look into. So what we just discussed, it's definitely something that everyone is keeping an eye on, and it'll be interesting to see how the market and the NFT space will evolve in the near future. And there's one more question from Eric. So we have one here about gas fees. So with gas fees being high, is that an inhibition to bidding and buying or on your marketplaces?
Yeah, I think having the high gas fees is not good. But I think also there's lots of work to be done with layer 2. It's a pretty serious like time, effort, technical investment. But yeah, so I think there's lots of interesting solutions like the optimistic rollups. I think Matic is live and running, but I think layer 2s also have downsides. They introduce complexity. It's not seamless enough for like the end user. So I think there's pros and cons.
True. Yes. And do you want to, guys, share any thoughts on that? The two of you, Alex, and also about L2 solutions that you might want to embrace to solve the gas problem?
Yeah, so getting rid of the gas burden is a huge part of our DNA at OpenSea. We were the first real NFT marketplace to introduce off-chain buy orders or buy orders of any kind. And then we were the first marketplace to do off-chain sell orders. And off-chain means that you don't have to pay for gas after you've done the necessary approvals for your tokens. And then we were also the first marketplace to do completely gas-free trades for English auctions. And we've seen a growing number of those, and users are starting to figure out how they work and get excited by them. So this is basically our top priority right now, is solving this problem and also solving it on a fundamental level so that other marketplaces can make use of it too. We're working on a couple different L2 solutions simultaneously, and it's definitely in the near term for our roadmap.
Thank you. Thank you. There's more questions coming through. I've been sharing them here on screen. I guess this could be the last comment from the audience for today's panel. So what do people think about printing of works once owned, and is there any control measure for that? This is how NFTs art may collide with traditional market. I guess this is more for John and maybe Alex at OpenSea. And also Bruce Goose also shared a news that Christie's is auctioning an NFT in a few weeks. And some major names in and out of crypto have been talking about NFTs in the past few days. NFT season is coming, which is very exciting.
Yeah, well, I think Christie's is auctioning a physical piece, and they're going to be making an NFT of the physical piece that's being auctioned as well, is my understanding. But if they're actually auctioning off an NFT, that would be amazing. And then with regard to printing out works once they're owned, I think this is something we have been talking a lot about like, what are what rights does the NFT come with? And so I think that's really important to have sort of well-defined standards there and sort of like set expectations. So yeah, I think with Super right now, I think the terms are that it's okay for what you get is to personally display the artwork, and personally display is, I guess, potentially open to interpretation. I'm not offering legal advice to anybody, but yeah, I think it's important to have this well defined, because otherwise you'll end up with differing opinions and disputes.
Mm-hmm. True. But definitely the future is looking bright and very exciting. So I want to take the opportunity to thank every one of you for being here today. I think we have touched on very important topics today around NFTs, governance, curation, and distribution. So thank you so much, John, Alex, and Alexander for being with us today, and Sebastian at the BGA for supporting such great initiatives and making everything possible here today. So thank you all, and thanks everyone watching and sharing great comments and questions for us. It's been great. Thank you. And yes, if you want to share a few words with the audience, but yes, it's been very good to have you guys.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, Sebastian and Serena, appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. Thank you guys for coming. Great answers, great question. A lot of conversation in the chat, so we can see the topic is really interesting. I hope you can answer some of those comments after, in any case, and I'll see you soon in the space again.
Thank you all. Let's keep the conversation going on social media, and I'll see you all very soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.